Hello, this is Nathan Crawley, and this is my Final Tech Review. In Sprint 3, we'll cover a couple topics: assigned work and contributions. For assigned work, we have, as a gamer, I want to have 1 point of armor and resist 10% of damage, maxing at 50% damage, so that I can still take damage, but make my character tankier. As a gamer, I want to be able to see my armor values in my character sheet so that I can keep track of them. As a gamer, I want to be able to click the plus button to increase my armor so that I have more armor. As the gamer, I want to be able to gain an attribute point after I level up, so that I spend on health or agility or armor so that I can make my character stronger. As a gamer, I want to be able to have my character sheet. I want to have a character sheet that displays health and agility and armor so that I can see all the stats in one location. As a gamer, I want to level up only one of the following: health, agility, or armor when I level up, so that I do not become overpowered super easily. As the gamer, I want to only level up at the end of the level after I have killed all enemies and my player is still alive, so that I don't get rewarded for dying. Alright, so in this case we decided to we had the game display object, which uses a character sheet, and we'll have, sometimes we'll increase health, sometimes we'll increase agility, sometimes we'll increase armor, but other times we'll bring up the character sheet. We won't increase any of them, but we would like to always show health, armor, and agility. Alright, so this is my class diagram for this. This is kind of the same as the previous one, but basically we have the shooter is the center of this, and the shooter has these values. Now, what will happen is that the shooter has access to game data, and the game figure also, and the game figure is inherited from that. So, the game data has the game figure. Anyways, so we made the shooter the subject, and we used a observer pattern to accomplish this. So the shooter is the subject, and also the observer, stats display and character sheet are both observers. So what we end up doing is that the game data is that the animator will actually check to see no. How do we do this? Oh yeah. So what will end up happening is that the character sheet, when it gets increased, it'll actually call the shooter and increase the value, which will notify the observers of the new values. And so that instead of the animator continually doing this over and over and over again, every second it'll pull that information. And that is how those values get displayed. But this also works for the health, where in shooter it'll take some damage, and that'll call the notify observer. That'll call notify observers, and then it'll notify these guys. So, yep. As we can see here, the game data sets the initial data, and then it notifies the observer. And shooter notifies both the observers, and also whenever the character clicks a +1 trait, it notifies the observers as well. Contribution. I created an enemy factory pattern for the people working with enemies. So here is our use case diagram. So we have a game panel, and the game panel will always make enemies. And then it's pretty simple. We have a singleton pattern for the enemy factory, and that's used by enemy figures. So what will happen is the player will press start, and then they'll go to the game panel, and that will start the game. And the game panel will create the first level, and the enemy factory will create enemies and send them to the animator, and then the animator will update them. And then the game data will receive updated information, and it will update the animator. Alright, Sprint 4. Basic, couple of things we're going to cover is basic. What we did in this one is we did a basic game state for pausing purposes while leveling. While this was also done so that everybody could use it. So it was the contribution in both, because of the amount of time I took in making it dynamic enough for the entire team. As a gamer, I want the game to be able to pause while I adjust my attributes so that I don't die while leveling up. As a gamer, I want the game to pause when I click on the character sheet so that I can check them at any time and not have negative effects. As a gamer, I want to have my character sheet show up between levels and the game to pause so that while it is open, I can change my stat and my character not be affected by enemies. Alright, so this kind of describes the state, is that we actually start in the pause state, and then from the pause state we can go to a play state, a win state, or a lose state. Pause makes all the choices. Other stories are pretty straightforward because we cannot go to any other states from lose, no states from win, and play can go back to pause. As we can see here, the game has states, and there has to be one of these states no matter what. So we made those include. Alright, and for my class diagram, we made a game state interface. We had the pause. We had the pause, play, the win, the lose, and the reason we put the animator in here is because the animator is able to check the states in the game data to verify what it should be doing, if it should be animating or not. Alright, so this was kind of complicated because I kind of left out the animator because it was going to cause this to be way more complicated. But basically, the player presses start and accesses the game. The player presses start, which accesses the game panel, and that pushes start game. That goes to the game data, which calls the go next function, and the go next makes us go to the next state. Now we can, from this point, we can either win the game data. We can either win and go 2 states, or lose and go to another state. Now that's while playing, so we'll pause it. This basically just lets it pause. And from the character sheet, we can click. When we open the sheet, it automatically calls the pause, which accesses the go next function. And we can close it, which accesses the go next function again. Now, this was important to funnel this through the character data because we needed to verify. We needed to make sure that that it did not, like, for example, if we had this one open and this one open, then we would actually call go next and it would play. So we had a little check in here to make sure that didn't happen. And so whenever someone had to call play or pause, you would just access game data, the game data object, and then do .play or .pause with no data passed in, and it would take care of it for you. Oh yeah, and settings would also have this. And so in the character sheet we had 2 different ways of just opening it, and we had a level up state. Not level state, but like in leveling up it would do different things than when you're just opening it, because it would give you an option to increase the stat. And all these things would cause go next, which would push the state forward. And then the animator would check it. Alright, for Sprint 5. Sprint 5, we caused level creation to be procedurally generated, and the amount of levels were randomized within a range. So, and I think for the final project we did is we had 3 to 5 levels, and so it would do, and those were the base levels, and then like the fourth to the sixth level, which would be just, it would 1 level after the final level, it would do the actual boss level. Alright, as a gamer, I want the levels to have no specific order so that the game is more fun. As a gamer, I want to have all levels be random so that I don't get as bored while replaying the game. As a gamer, I want the amount of levels to be within a range so that I am not sure if the next level is the boss or not. As the gamer, I want to be able to level up on all levels, even the first level, so that I can better plan my character type. As a gamer, I want to be able to have the game pause and level up before I start the game, so I can choose the base stats. As the gamer, I want to have the game pause and level up before each additional level after the first one, so that I can get stronger. Okay. As you see here, the game panel includes make levels, which includes makes enemies, because you can't make levels without enemies. And the game panel has to be able to make levels. Alright, so we made both of these singleton patterns. And as you can see here, the game data has enemy figures and it has a level factory. And the level factory will access the game data, which has enemy figures and a level factory, and therefore the level factory indirectly accesses the enemy factory to create the enemies. Alright, so what we'll see here is the player will push start the game from the game panel. It will start the game, and the game data will create a random level because it has a round number generator, and then it'll call a function and pick one of the random ones, and then it'll select all the enemies it wants to create. The enemy factory will create them and send that information to the animator, and then it'll update things. And once it's completed, it'll go back to game data and it'll do this again. Alright, that concludes my presentation of my slideshow. I hope you enjoyed it.